said, hey, I'll kind of go into a little bit more depth and show you all the process. Good morning. We're going to talk about finishing. Good. Good morning. I'm going to see if I can get this thing working. How's that? Am I in there? Can you guys hear me? I'm still a little bit cautious of the service I'm using, and I've got a video that I'm trying to show you today that I'm just not sure if it's going to have any sound, but we're okay with that because I had a wonderful week. I hope you did. I worked on. I keep looking over there because I actually have a camera set up for that. I've got my diorama set up over here in the display that I worked on this week, and it was really fun because I took that display, that spalted maple, and I put a really nice. It's a polyurethane finish, but after the polyurethane is on there and you've got a multiple coats on it and stuff like that, then I put wax on it. So it's the wax that really gets me excited because the wax brings out this luster, it brings out this depth, and we're gonna look at those pictures. So I hope you like it too, and we're gonna go through the process. I'm not gonna take you step by step, but I'll do kind of an overall on it. So now, why don't we take a look at my slides that I got over here. Sorry, we're going to do that. And I am going to show you what I did this week. Starts out with this Mercer Lenahan. So I got an email from Mercer Lenahan, and it was really, really great. He built a Lego World War One scene, little diorama, and I thought it was great. And the thing that I thought was really neat here is if you look in the picture, he's using the chains, the Lego chains, for barbed wire, which I thought was just fantastic. So I hope you appreciate it. Now, I've got something to read here from Mercer. Oh, and hello. I did say hello to I did say hello earlier to Paul, but I didn't get to bring him up on the screen. So hello, thanks very much, Paul. And then Mark is here. Hello, Mark. Thanks very much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So this is from Mercer. He says, "This is my Lego World War One mock battle of the Somme. It took me about 2 weeks and about $55. I used brown bricks, tan bricks, and etc. The minifigures in the mock art." He's got the word here. I don't understand. So anyway, our United Bricks and Germans are the MG team pack from the United Bricks, and the British soldiers are United Bricks, and I forgot the names, but one was the Gas Max figure. Just replace the head because a lot of photos I have seen, soldiers don't wear gas masks. While going over, so the story of this battle is that Germans are making a sneak attack toward the British trench. My next build, I'm thinking of doing Austro-Hungarian Empire build. Thank you for sharing my build with your fans. Well, that's really, really cool. And please excuse my inability to properly articulate and actually like read. But yeah, thanks very much. I mean, it was really, really nice. And I met Mercer last year at the Northwest Scale Model Show, which is this weekend. So this weekend is the Northwest Scale Model Show. It's the 15th and 16th. It is at the Museum of Flight. Starts at 10 a.m. If you bring a model to display, they have like a display-only table where you can bring in and just like to get in. It's free to enter. So you can bring a model to show, just go to the front gate and you can come in. It's got all kinds of modelers. Rick Lawler is going to be there. John Bonani is going to be there. So folks from the Plastic Posse are going to be there. It's going to be a really, really fun time. I'm deciding which and when I'm going. I don't know if I'll be there for the whole thing. I don't know. I just don't know yet. We've got some weather issues that I'm working around. But I do hope to get down there. And if I'm able to make it, I'm probably going to bring my current diorama, the one that we're going to look at today, and I'll probably bring my World War One trench diorama. Just those. It's just the load in for it was delayed, so I think it might be a little bit smaller show this year just because of the number of tables they have, but they haven't limited the number of build tables that there are, which is two things. Number one, you can go as a modeler and set up and build. It's best you contact the website first, northwestscalemodelers.org or .club. I'm sorry, just take a look. And you'll find it, Northwest Scale Modelers. And you can clarify that. But It's really nice because you can also go in and do a make and take, which Josh is going to be putting on. Joshua Scott, he's going to be having a take and make and take where you build like little Gundam figures and stuff like that. So that's always super popular for families and it's really fun. So I would encourage you to go. For other folks, they have modelers like myself set up where they're modeling. They can talk to you about modeling. If I'm able to make it, I'll talk to you about diorama building and things like that. And it's really fun because there are demonstrations, there are seminars, all sorts of stuff going on both days. So it's a really, really fun time. With the weather the way it is, it's a wonderful activity for families, individuals, whomever. And it's always a really fun time. So, and you see some amazing modelers. I haven't even talked about the modelers themselves are there. The models that they have on display there, you'll see a lot different and typically a lot more models than you'll normally see in a show. In this kind of show, it is non-competition and you're encouraged to bring as much as you can possibly bring, frankly. This year it's a little different because the load-in is Saturday morning instead of Friday night, and there was just some scheduling issues there. So there may be a little bit less, but I'm willing to say you're going to love it, and you're going to see full tables of models. And some of the best models, because when you go to a show, you're typically seeing what that modeler built that year, and they're competing and they want to enter that model in. But here, you could see stuff like Steve Hilby's stuff that he brings to Wonderfest, like from years past, which are award-winning dioramas and models and just the most amazing things. I'm not sure if Tim Nelson's going to be there because I saw that he was on vacation, but his stuff, amazing stuff in magazines and articles you read about these folks. They're going to be here. Like I said, Rick Lawler is going to be there. It is really a fantastic show, and you probably know him. Scale Canadian, Jim Bates. He's the guy putting on the show with Joshua Scott. So it's absolutely a fantastic show, and one of my favorite shows. This year is just a little funky for me, so I'm just not sure if I can make it. But I'm going to give it a shot. Hello, Christian. I'm going to stop talking about that, but if you have questions, please ask. Christian is here. Hello. Thank you very much for coming on. And folks, again, if you haven't gone and seen Christian's site, Hobby Arte, you need to go. He's got great stuff. And Christian, have I even linked your site on my website? That I need to make sure that I do that because I really want people to see your stuff. It's amazing. You're going to love Christian's stuff. So let me dive into this because I do want to show you what I did last week in this, not that, this. This is the display for my D&D diorama. It's made out of spalted maple. That's the main wood, the lighter colored wood. And then there's some trim pieces on there that you'll see, like in the right-hand picture there. That's cherry. And so those are the two woods that I used. And then here is the complete finishing process. Now, don't worry, I'm going to make this a digital download. It'll be on Patreon for all Patreon. Actually, I'll probably just make this free for everybody, so you can all get this digital download. I think you just sign up with your email and you can get it. But that is my full process, and it's also in the video that I have linked below. But I'm able to get this kind of finish using wipe-on poly. And it's a pretty tough finish. It's great for if you're not a great finisher like me. I mean, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not an amazing finisher of furniture and wood and stuff like that. But I do a nice job. And I've not done those glass kind of finishes that you see sometimes people will do on like humidors or jewelry boxes. I've never done one of those. That's just not my thing. And that's really, you got to really have it dialed in to be able to pull that stuff off. What I really like is to get a nice luster, to show off the wood, to protect the wood, and I try to get the kind of finish to match the use that it'll have. Does that make sense? The kind of finish I put on here, the wax after the fact, and we're going to look at that, is probably not good for a tabletop, because I know that there are waxes that you can put on tabletop and stuff, but they ring. If you put a coffee cup on them, they'll ring. You know, they'll put a ring on them if you don't have a coaster. And that's the wax. The wax will do that because it'll change color and things like that. So I wouldn't recommend this process if you're going to be like doing a table or something like that. There's just a different process. And basically leave out the wax, but there are other things than poly that you can use. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because if you're interested in using this process, it's really meant for this. It's meant for a static model. It's meant for something that people are going to touch. You know, that's the other thing. By adding the wax to this process, and we're going to look at the process. By adding the wax to the process, gosh darn it, I keep doing the wrong flinger-dangers. It gives this beautiful finish, and it's really slick and feels nice to the touch. And that's why I use this kind of finish and this kind of process to get that. I think it's important that, you know, you can touch stuff. Not necessarily a diorama, but this is going to be, you know, it's a gaming diorama. People are going to be moving this thing around. So everywhere you touch, it has been, you know, highly sanded and finished. And so it's nice to the touch. And then the wax just adds to that. So that's the process of use. So now what I have here, oh, hey, Scott is here. Hello, Scott. Thanks very much for coming in. It's great to see you. I hope you're having a great day. You know, when you guys had snow a little bit ago down in Texas, we got snow. I'm in Washington State, and we have had snow. It's not been like we've had snow in the past where it's like, you know, 18 inches for a week. You know, that was a few years ago. But we've had snow for a week, but it just kind of melts a little bit back, and then it snows, and then it freezes up, and then it snows. So it's been kind of you know, it's been in the 20s. I think we logged like the coldest day in Seattle this last week. So yeah, it's been pretty chilly up here, but I hope you're doing well, and I hope it's not so cold there now. Troy is here. Hello, Troy. What's up, my dudes? It's great to see you. Thank you very much for coming in. So I keep talking about finishing this thing. Let's dive into this thing and take a look at it, because, I've got this video. I'm going to try to play it. If there's no sound, no big deal, because I can talk you through it. But let's fire this thing up and see how it goes. Good morning. We're going to talk about finishing. So I did a short earlier, and I said, hey, I'll is there sound to you? I hear no sound from this video. I started, so if anybody can respond to that, and that would be great. It's just about done. The first day, what I did was, it was in the evening, and I like stuff to like dry overnight. And the first coat of poly on this, which is what I'm using, is polyurethane. I wanted to dry overnight. So that evening, I made sure that I power sanded everything. Then I hand sanded. I think hand sanding is really, really important. That allows you to kind of feel with your hands how it's going and stuff. The power is great. It gets a bunch done in a short amount of time. But okay, so thanks very much, Christian. I just wanted to make sure that you could hear it. I'm going to go back to the video now. Sorry for the interruption. And I hope you are okay with this. I just want to let it play out. It was a video that I put out yesterday about finishing. I think it's pretty darn thorough. I don't want to play necessarily the whole thing, but I want you to get the kind of the initial go of how this works and where it's going. So we're going to go back to that video. It really can't give you the sensation and understanding if you've gotten everything like little areas and stuff like that. So a thorough hand sanding. After it's been sanded, then I use a vacuum. You can use a tack cloth if that's what you want to use. I think a vacuum works just great. So I use my shop vac and vacuum the whole thing. And I sanded the inside and outside everything. So after I've got that on there, then I'm going to put finish on it. So now the finish I'm using is It's fast drying wipe-on polyurethane. This one is from Minwax, and it works great. This one is clear satin, where it's never going to be a real high shine, which is not what. Okay, that's kind of far enough, I think, because what I wanted to establish was, I'm doing this with polyurethane, and I want to talk to you now about how I put that on. And number two, I can't hear anything that's happening in that video, so I don't know exactly where it's at. So I hope that's okay. When I start with the polyurethane, I typically want to do that on the night before, or the first coat I want to do at night. And the reason is when you're doing this polyurethane, there's like a 2 to 3 hour drying time that it says. Well, that's fine. It's dry to the touch, and you can work with it. You can do like a scuff sanding and all of that. But on my first coat, I really want that first coat of polyurethane to dry and cure on the wood. That kind of sets the whole process. So I do that first coat of polyurethane, and then let that sit overnight. So now the next morning, what I do is I come back, and I'm going to do this 3 times throughout the second day. And I'm just basically recounting what I did because each day is a little bit different in how I worked with it. So the following day, I come in, and the first thing I do is do a scuff sanding. And what I mean by that is I'm using 150 grit, and I am sanding the surface, but I'm not really sanding it to try to smooth it out. It's already smooth. I'm trying to get rid of any imperfections or particulate that may have been picked up in that finish while it was drying. I mean, that's a common thing. It's not an issue for raising the wood, or an issue where the wood is raised by like a water finish, because like a water finish, it will do that. Wood will raise, and you have to go through a very thorough sanding after the first coat. You don't have to worry about that. That's why this is a great solution for somebody that's not as familiar with filming, or with finishing. So I do a scratch or a scuff sanding over the entire surface, the whole thing. And that's the other thing. I have applied the finish to the entire surface. If you don't do that, you can induce warping. And if you're interested in more about it, I go into a little bit better or in-depth explanation of that in the video that I was showing you, which is posted on my YouTube channel. So you want to put everything on there, or you want to put all of that poly on there. Once you do your scuff sand, then you're just going to vacuum it. And what you're doing is you're trying to get rid of all of that dust that you sanded off, but not quite all of it. You're not really concerned with like going in there and wiping it down or anything like that. We will do that, but right now we're trying to build up this polyurethane. So after it has been vacuumed, then I'll do another coat of polyurethane. And again, the whole thing. Anytime I apply polyurethane to this, it's inside, it's outside, it's bottom, it's everywhere. I'm not skipping any surface on this. And the reason is, again, that if you do that, you can induce warping because one side will gather more humidity out of the air than the other. Again, the explanation's in the video. So I'm going to do that process 3 times throughout the day. I like to let it dry a little bit longer than it says. Instead of 2 to 3 hours, I go 3 to 4, and sometimes even longer throughout the day as I'm doing other things. But I want that polyurethane to dry. It is a fast drying product, so it should dry pretty quick. The next time I do it, it's the same process. I do the scuff sand, I do the vacuum, I put on the poly. Now, when I'm doing these 3 throughout this second day, I'm not necessarily sanding the inside because the inside is not going to be touched by your hands. It's like that. I'm putting the poly on there, but I'm not sanding every time. And you'll notice as you go through this process that it will build up a little bit of a rougher surface. It's totally fine. If you want to sand that, you can. I've chosen not to. So on the outside, when I'm doing this sanding, this scuff sanding each time, and then adding more polyurethane, what it's doing is it's adding these coats. And by doing the scuff sanding, I'm making sure that the surface doesn't have any, like I said, impurities or nicks or, raised fibers or anything. So that is the second day. I just do 3 coats throughout the entire day. Now the third day, the morning of the third day, I'm gonna do my scuff sanding, but I'm not gonna vacuum it this time, because on the third day, what I'm really concerned with is smoothing the finish that I've applied over the last 2 days. So there's 4 coats of polyurethane on it, right? 1 for the first overnight, 3 on the second day. This is the third day. I want to, instead of vacuuming off the sanding and stuff that I've done, now I'm going to wipe it away with mineral spirits. Now, mineral spirits is a thinner for the wipe on poly. So it will, first off, it'll pick up all the excess dust, but it'll also reactivate, because it's a thinner, it'll reactivate some of that dust. And some of that dust then will go into the cracks, the very fine cracks between like the wood face and it's this face right here. The wood face coming straight down and the trim. Do you see that joint there? Well, you can't see anything in there. You can't see any gap in there. And that is the finish. I didn't put any filler or anything like that in there. That's the finish. And that's the whole nice thing about this. You don't have to do fillers. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You're basically using the sanding, the dust from the sanding that comes off of it as the filler. So wipe the whole thing down with mineral spirits. And again, you're trying to get all the dust off. That'll take a good hour to dry, just the mineral spirits itself. Once that's done, then I'm going to take a white 3M pad. Now what this is like, it's like the green 3M pad, like the scrubbing pad, Scotch-Brite, they call them, all that kind of stuff. Well, it's the same kind of material, but it's not as abrasive. It's the same abrasive strength as 4/0 fine steel wool, but it's in a plastic form. So what I do with that is I'm going to buff the polyurethane. So again, we've got 4 coats of polyurethane on there. We have scuff sanded them all, so it's pretty smooth. But what I'm doing now is I'm going to take that white Scotch-Brite and I'm going to, in a circular motion, lightly, not heavily, buff the entire surface. Now, if I did that, it would probably, come up with some scratches and stuff like that. So to not have that happen, I'm dipping it in the polyurethane. Okay? So with this white pad, this white Scotch-Brite kind of pad, it's the fine kind, I'm going over the entire outside of the display with that. Small circles everywhere, underneath, anywhere your hands are going to touch, really. The legs even, people like to touch the legs of it. So everywhere you're going to see, everywhere you're going to touch, I'm going over with that. After that, I'm not going to let that dry because it's now got polyurethane all over it. I'm not going to let that dry because it could have brought up some gunk or whatever. So I'm going to wipe all that off with a t-shirt. I missed saying this earlier on. When I'm applying the wipe on poly, I'm using a t-shirt. T-shirts are fantastic. They're readily available. We all have them. And it doesn't matter the color. That doesn't matter printing or nothing like that on it. But t-shirts aren't going to, drop lint on your project, and trying to find a lintless rag, never try to put finish on with a microfiber. It'll just grab everything and it'll leave, it's just snags and they're horrible. Don't use a microfiber for it. Use either maybe like a kitchen towel. If it's not a terry cloth towel, it's like the I don't know what's called, like flour sack kind of fabric. That's fine, but that has a little bit of dust. T-shirts, no dust. And so that's what I use. So when I'm putting on the poly, I use a t-shirt rag. I don't have to paint it on, right? I just use a rag. It's perfectly fine. And now I'm doing the same thing. I'm using a rag or a t-shirt to wipe away all of the stuff that I've used that white pad to go all over the surface of the display. So now the last part of this with this is I'm going to go with wax. So now I'm taking a paste wax. I'm using a Carnauba paste wax. It's like a car wax, you know, same kind of thing. And then I use actual 4/0 steel wool, and I'm buffing this thing out. Don't worry about going against the grain. When I'm using these things, I'm going in circular patterns. Earlier on, when I was doing scuff sanding, I was following the grain, right? But now, what I'm doing is I'm going in circular patterns because I'm not really affecting the wood anymore. What I'm doing is I'm buffing the polyurethane, the finish, that, you know, those 4, almost 5 layers at this point of polyurethane on there. That's what I'm working on, not the wood anymore. So I'm buffing that out with the 4/0 steel wool. Once that's done, there's going to be wax everywhere. 2 ways to go about this. I would recommend doing this. Don't let it dry. Just like car wax. You know, you leave your car wax, there's a carrier in it, meaning it's got a smell to it. Well, that smell is typically like mineral spirits or something like that makes it liquefied. Well, if you put your car wax on your car and then you leave it, that stuff gases away and you've got this powdery, you know, and then you have to go take it off. You can do that on your model too. That's fine, but it's harder. So what I do is I put it on, you know, buffing it in, and then I take it off pretty much immediately and then let it gas off because it will leave some still there. And then you do your buffing. And you're doing your buffing with a t-shirt. It works wonderfully because the t-shirt is soft. The old t-shirts, you know, don't be upset your partner. But yeah, you know, buff that thing out. And then I go back with just a t-shirt that's either wadded up or I made like a little applicator you'll see in the video. And then you use that and apply it. Again, a circular motion. Let that, it's a much less amount, you know, as when you were doing it with the steel wool. And now you can apply as many coats as you want. Even though this is a satin finish, that's kind of the polyurethane I use, you could get this thing to glass if you wanted, and all with the wax. Wax will do that, you know. If you're ever in the military, you remember spit shining your boots. I spent many hours, spit shining my boots. Well, doing that is the same thing as you're doing with the wax. You're applying wax, you're letting whatever carrier is that makes it not dry, I guess, you know, makes it pliable so you can put it on. You apply it, you let the carrier go out, it kind of hardens up, you buff it away. And then you repeat it, you know, again and again and again. That's the same exact process. It's a really wonderful finish because it feels so good to the touch, and that's what I want to promote. People are going to be taking this display. Do I got a picture of this? Let's go to a different shot of it real quick. But people are going to be taking this display and turning it in front of them. So here's before and after finishing. On the left is what the wood looked like before finish, and then on the right is after. And I use clear, you know, for everything. So people, as they're playing this, you can play it where it's in the fully assembled like this, you know. It can be actually played that way, or it can be taken apart. But at any rate, as you're playing it, let's say it's in the center of a table, you're going to want to move it. And so I've got plans for casters on the feet, really, really cool low profile ones. And then the whole thing will turn, so each person that has a turn at the table, you know, can see the different scene and stuff like that. So you're not having to get up and move around. So I'm really excited about it. It's getting really, really close. And that's what we're going to talk about next, after this whole finishing thing, if there's no questions, is I want to show you all the details that I added to it now, to include some of the lighting that I put in. There's still issues with lighting. I haven't finished the lighting yet. but it looks a lot better, and we'll see some pictures of that. So, I am going to get rid of that video. I liked my video, but me not hearing the sound, maybe I need headphones or something like that. It was hard to work with the video. So sorry, I'll work on that for the next live stream. Okay, so I want to show you some of these. Over here, I've got a bunch of pictures of it, but what's really important is I want to show you the inside. Because this last week, you remember that picture before on the table where it was just a bunch of the schlock down there? Well, this is what I was doing to kind of build these things up. I'm now at that point where I'm trying to add all of those details into the diorama that I really enjoy, adding. I think that for me is really a lot of the fun. I want to not fill each space because it is meant for playing, and so I'm going to have figures in there. So I got to leave places for figures. If not all of them, at least part of the team can go in this one room like this. It's pretty tight in there. But I am kind of trying to hold myself back from putting everything in these rooms that I would typically do, because typically I'd put figures in them. Well, I can't put any figures in them. I'm trying to decide, as we look here a little bit further, how much should I put in each of these rooms? How much stuff on the walls, how much stuff should be movable. Like right now, everything in here is removable except for like the railings and stuff like that. That's not movable. But all of the individual chairs and stuff like that, all that stuff is not tied down. So I'm kind of at that point. Do I tie it down? Do I glue it down like the bar here in Barrett's? Now these are glued down. This I've decided. I don't want those to be moved. They are glued down and set. But as we look up here, like those little stools and stuff, they're not. They're just loose. The bar itself. This table with this stuff. Now I did glue the game to the top of the table itself, but the whole thing is moves and stuff like that. Up here, I just love the look of it. I had this wheel, and since this is it's a port town, Krondor is a port town, I figured I wanted kind of a nautical theme inside here. Now here's a problem. Remember I said there's some issues with the lights? That is not something shining down. That is something shining up through the floor. So my floors are like really thin. You're not going to push your finger through them, but they're still pretty thin. The light that I have illuminating that whole floor, there's one single light per floor, and it's great. I really like them. Well, I'll get back to that. But what's happening is this is beaming, straight forward, but it's coming through the floor. So, I don't know what to do there. I could just put a little bit more wood underneath it, which would do the trick, I think, and not, mess with anything on top, because I don't want to put anything on top, obviously. But, it's just like when you start using a new tool, a new thing, a new whatever, these are some of the things that pop up. And so you just got to find a way to fix them. And here again, this is above. I need some more things in here. I need a coat rack. I need, I think some paintings on the wall. I've been looking for, paintings. What the heck are paintings gonna be like in the medieval times? Now this is really fun. This is the attic, and the attic is going to be just a bunch of flotsam, just stuff up there. There's going to be some cloth draped over some things, just nondescript things. But it's going to be a hideout for Jimmy the Hand. And that's what I'm really excited about. So I'm going to put a bunch of stuff up there, and that's what these little walkways and stuff here are. So I'm just finding a bunch of stuff that I can have up here, like old furniture and things like that, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, if anybody, is interested, again, I'll give you the books and all that kind of stuff, or the link to the author and stuff like that. This is the upright man's office, and it has to be really bare because the upright man is kind of like the kingpin of the underbelly of Krondor. Now, if you look at the wall panel to the left, you'll notice it's kicked out at the bottom a little bit because there is a sliding door that is an exit for the upright man. So if he gets in trouble, he can bail out, and it goes into here. This is a oh gosh, what in the heck is it called? It's not a trebuchet, but it's a ballista. And this is going to be kind of a fun thing. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with it, but I'm very excited about this floor because that, if you look in the bottom behind, the wall behind it, that's where the upright man escapes to if somebody is trying to get after him because he's a very elusive character. Down below that is the upright man's stash because this is his warehouse. It's him and Rue, another character in the books. It's their warehouse together, really. This is the bottom floor with a trapdoor to the oubliette. I didn't get a picture of the trapdoor open, but yeah, there's a neat little trapdoor there that makes you fall into the oubliette. Again, this is the stash in the middle. There is that. This is above that, and that is where Jimmy the Hand gets in. Here's a side view, and I started doing some more work up here. I have got to figure out the pier and where the cart unloading wine barrels is going to be. I don't think it's going to be where it's at now. This is the upstairs. It's looking pretty great. I'm glad that I changed the color of Barrett's, and there's the roof. And again, Jimmy's roof line is so it's just barely flared out the bottom that somebody could just barely get their feet on there and traverse that. There is just a larger picture of it. And then below, when you remove that door, there is the temple. So the temple I'm really happy with. And I've added a little bit of an element in there where you have to pick up something to make all of the mechanical stuff underneath your work. So I'm pretty happy with how this thing is coming along. That right there is a clue to what has to be done. It's going to be part of the quest. So this is inside the sewer. That is an underground deity. And there's a mirror down there. So this is pretty much done. I mean, all the construction, all of the main stuff is done. It really is at a point now where I've just got to decorate the heck out of it. I've just got to start piling in all these little details and final things like I was talking about going through there. So that's where it's at, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I do not, let's talk a little bit about, a little housekeeping. We do not have a Friday night group build tonight because it's the third week of the month. So on Sunday, we have a live build for Patreon folks from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it's 3 hours. Now, it is the Northwest Scale Model Show. And I may, depending on when I can go, I may be at this Northwest Scale Model Show on Sunday during our live stream. So I got to figure out if I can do a live stream from there. I know I can, but how good is it going to be? And can it be 3 hours? I doubt it. But that's going to be the attempt if I'm there on Sunday. If not, I'll do it here. It's also that it might not happen. So what I will do is I will have a makeup day and then we will do our live stream because I really don't want to have it like if folks want to participate, maybe we'll find a time even during the week because I do this all, as full time. So I'm going to be here. So I just want to make sure people knew that. The weather is the biggest issue for me going to the show. But if you are in Seattle, it's supposed to be nice. It's supposed to start raining tomorrow. It's supposed to be better. I'm up in the mountains. I'm much higher altitude than Seattle, and so that's what I've got to play with. But if I get a chance, I want to go down to the Northwest Scale Model Show. Be very, very fun. It's a 2-day event. It is non-competition. You see a bunch of modelers and a bunch of models that are amazing. So stuff you can't see anywhere else. And it's one of the largest ones in the United States, if not the largest, because there's been times where they've had more models at the Northwest Scale Model Show than the Nationals. I'm just saying. So, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope the broadcast went well today. I'm still kind of feeling out this EV Mux thing. I do want to say thank you so much to my patrons, because my patrons really help this thing out. And I got to tell you, it's not like a little thing. They're really helping pay the bills around here. If I need to go out and buy me, a new set of figures or something like that, I can do that because of my patrons. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that because you're helping keeping the content going. If you're interested in becoming a patron, there's one level, and I also have members on YouTube, and I'm getting more things that are just specifically member oriented on YouTube, and I have exclusive content now, not just previews of things that I'm going to be posting. I have exclusive content on Patreon. Lots of back behind the scenes and, showing you what I'm doing. And it's just me talking. It's not like I film something. I'm filming and I'm showing it to you and we're going through it. So it's a lot of fun. I call them backstages, and I do 1 or 2 a month. So, and then I post every Wednesday. So I hope you are well. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I am going to go back to working on this, and man, this is just crazy. I also have a video that is posting tomorrow that I've got to finish video or editing tonight. That is my monthly video. And that one is on modifying figures. So I'm really excited about that. Plus the show. So it's going to be a really, really busy day.